Hi, it's Tina today, and my tutorial is my monthly series of blank canvas, where I take a blank piece of chipboard and transform the background into a mixed media layout. So today I'm going to show you this layout that I created with Moose. So like I usually start with, I have a piece of 12 by 12 chipboard. Then I'm just applying some gesso to the background, and again, not being real specific on how I apply the gesso, I'm just going to go ahead and paint it right onto the background. I use generally chipboard that is white like this, but you can also use chipboard that is the brownish color. So what I wanted to do for my background, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I did want some metallic. So I wanted some gold, some silvers. So I'm using the pearlescent metallic powder from Illuminite, and you can see me just dabbing it on there with a bristle brush, and then I'm spraying water. I have to tell you, and I'm sure you can see it on the screen, when I sprayed the water on that powder, it just exploded on my page. I had pearlescent and gold and silver powder all over my craft room when I was done with this background. So just take that special note. If you spray it with anything, water or hairspray, you're going to have powder on absolutely everything. So I put the pearlescent down on my background first and spritzed it, and then used my brush and just kind of blended it around. And now I'm using the gunmetal metallic powder from Illuminite. And you can see this is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like liquid mercury actually when you put the water to it, and you can really see what that looks like here when it's dry. It was a beautiful, beautiful background. I really, really loved how that looks on the background. So now I'm just playing up the edges of my background. So I'm using more of the pearlescence. I'm trying to get different effects, and again, because I had powder everywhere when I sprayed it with water, so now I'm trying a different technique by putting the water down and just sprinkling the powder into the water so I don't get it all over the place, just to get a different effect, and it kind of pulls up on the edges. So now I'm done with my background, and I wanted to create some texture to my background. So I'm experimenting here, and I was going to go ahead and, well, and I did. I took the gold Illuminite powder, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix it into some modeling paste. That was Teresa Collins modeling paste. So you can see me just taking my spatula and my palette knife and putting a couple of spoonfuls into my modeling paste, and now I'm mixing it up. Now, as I'm starting to mix it, I really didn't get the metallic look I was looking for. You can see as I'm mixing it here, it looks more tannish or yellowish. It really didn't maintain that gold shimmer that I was really looking for. So now what I'm going to try to do is take the gold metallic powder, which is different. It's still by Illuminite, and I was going to see if maybe it had more metallic properties to it than the little jar of Illumidust had in it. You can see as I'm mixing here, you can see those peaks right there of really gold, the gold shine, but as you can see as I'm mixing it, it actually just turned into kind of a brown mess. But I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try this, and I thought maybe instead of mixing it too much, I would, when I'm applying it to the background, I would get those hints of the gold, and it really didn't do what I wanted it to do. So you see me here just sprinkling some more of that gold metallic powder right onto the modeling paste that's still on the stencil. So when I took the stencil off, it did actually cover it up quite a bit, and I sprinkled the stencil onto what was left on the stencil onto the background, and you can see it really created a really nice gold look, and that was the kind of the look I was going for here. You can see when the light hits it, it definitely has the gold and the silver look to it, and that's the look that I was going for. So I guess the trick is to put your modeling paste down and then sprinkle the powder on top. So now what I'm going to do is I'm taking a couple of those mini clipboards, the clipboard chipboards that were included in the April kit, and I'm going to create some texture and background for my layout. So I'm going to mix up some of the casting resin. This is the resin that turns white. It casts within 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the thickness. And I'm going to go ahead, after I get it mixed here, you can see me just measuring it out into my cup. I'm going to create some texture for my background. So the trick with the casting resin and with the clear resin is to, you can see it's kind of milky looking in my cup right now. Mix it until that milkiness goes away. You want it to be clear. It takes just a little bit. You want to make sure you do mix it thoroughly, or else it's not going to cure correctly. So you can see me just mixing it really well right here. You can see it doesn't take real long for it to be ready, and you can see it got very clear there. It was really milky in the beginning, and now it's clear. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour it onto my chipboard. I had gessoed the chipboard before I did this. I have done this before with UTE, and I've done it with wax. I found with the resin it spreads more than both of those other two, so it wasn't doing exactly what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to be more stringy looking, but I kind of went with it. And I had a little bit left over, so I actually had a chipboard piece sitting on my desk that I had painted. So I pulled out my makeshift amazing mold putty. This was actually with the mold rubber plate that was sitting there, and I poured some of the casting resin on top of it just to see what kind of texture I would get from it, because I had some left over. So now the resin has set. So about 5-10 minutes have gone by. The resin turns white, so you can't really see it because I have gesso in the background, but instead of clear, it turns white, so you can tell it's cured by then. I'm taking some of the Lumidust, and I'm just taking a stipple brush, and I'm adding it to that chipboard piece. I really like this technique, and again, I've done it with other products, and it worked really well with the Lumidust. I really like this Lumidust. It's got a beautiful shimmer to it, and the properties of it work really well for this. So I'm just going to use multiple colors. I had the bright blue. I'm not sure if we still have more in the store, but that blue is gorgeous. Some of the gold we had in the store, and this gold is the Lumidust gold, not the metallic gold, which I used earlier. So I do have both those products, but this is the gold Lumidust. And then obviously you get green when you're mixing the two together. And then I do also use the red plum that was included in the April kit later on here. So I'm just spraying it with some hairspray because I wanted to try to set it down a little bit, because obviously it would flake off if it wasn't either wet with water or with hairspray. So I'm just spritzing it a little bit with some hairspray. So you can see I'm using some of that red plum, which has a beautiful blue hue to it. It's red, but if you get it in the light the right way, there's hints of blue, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't realize how pretty it was when I ordered it for the kit, but I'm really glad I did because it matched the kit colors and the color palette really well. So you can see I'm doing the same technique with all three of these pieces. So that was that chipboard piece that I put some of the casting resin onto, and because there was numbers on that chipboard pieces, the backside of it created a lot of little nooks and crannies that resin went into, and it created a really awesome piece. So these are my three pieces done. I edged the outside of each piece with some of the StazOn MIDI Blue Hawaii ink, just to define it a little bit more. So now I'm going to do almost the same technique with the chipboard piece from Dusty Attic that was in the April kit. So I'm inking it up with the StazOn ink, and while it was a little bit wet, I'm doing the same with that blue, bright blue Lumidust powder, just applying it to the bird, and it created I'm totally addicted to this dust right now, this Lumidust. It created this beautiful shimmer to that bird, and actually if I had mixed some of the colors, it would have been just stunning, I think. But I love that product because you can use it on anything. Obviously you can see I'm using it on chipboard here. So again, I'm kind of setting it down a little bit with some water, and I did go in after that was dry with some hairspray. So I did the same thing with one of the canvas rounds that was included in the kit. I did the same technique with the Lumidust and then sprayed it down with hairspray to set it, and then I stitched it into that pie shape. I did the same thing with my title for my layout. I did it with gesso and inked them up and covered them with the Lumidust. So that is my layout with my background. It was actually a pretty simple background with simple colors, but I really like that metallic look with the silvers and the golds to it, and the Lumadust worked really well to create the look I was going for. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today, and thank you for stopping by.